Alright, welcome back. So we're gonna set up animation now, and from the results of the final animation pose, we can first of all create a state machine. We can call this guy maybe the local motion for now. Local motion means the motion we play, the animation we play inside of the mesh space. We don't really offset our geometry based on that. Double click to go inside. We have one entry and we don't have anything, and that's why we're getting this arrow here, or warning. So we have to have something inside of this. Let's create a state by dragging that out and create a state. We can call it idle walk, run, or things like that. So this is going to be the idle, working, and run, that which is basically on the ground. Okay, so here instead of it, we have another final animation pose. It's like we're going back here again, right? It's basically what a state is. A state can be just another whole complicated graph of a animation graph. So you can create another state machine if you wanted to, right? And instead of that, you can do one more state, and you can go inside and you have this again. It can go like deeper and deeper, but we're not gonna do that. Back here to the animation graph, instead of this locomotion, instead of the idle walk run, I don't really need a new state machine for that. But I need an animation. I need a animation to play with. Let's just have one animation for now. Maybe like a jog for now. Okay, so we look for the jog forward. Can drag that guy in and place it in just to create the simplest animation blueprint, which is we have a locomotion state machine, and instead of it we're playing one animation. Once we're having only one state, and instead of it we're basically playing one animation. Now if we go ahead and play our game, it's not doing anything because here in the character base underneath the mesh we didn't actually tell it to use that animation blueprint, which is gonna be here. Oops, the mesh here, scroll up, animation mode, here animation class, we're going to use AnimationBP that we created earlier. Now if you go ahead and play, you can see she's just doing this. Okay, alright, so anyway, this is something, but we wanted to say when we're not moving we want her to stand still. Okay, now back here to the AnimationBP, instead of doing one animation I need something called a BlendSpace. So let me go ahead and delete this guy. Back here I'm gonna look for maybe the jog forward. Actually I don't really need to look for anything. Back here to the content browser I'm gonna create a new folder and call this animation. Oops, tap that wrong. Animation, and just drag the BP there to organize my stuff better. And inside of it, I'm going to right click and create a animation and animation blend space. And I just need to choose a skeleton. In this case, it's going to be the Shinbi skeleton. And I'm going to call this guy and blend space. And this is going to be the idle walk run. Okay. Now double click to open this guy. And for now, this blend space has nothing. I mean, it has a graph down here, and it's a 2D graph. We have X and Y directions. Those two directions are here. Axis settings. We have horizontal and vertical. Okay. All right. So what I want to do here is set up a graph that uses different animations, and I use input values later on to control what animation to play. So let's actually do some setup so it's easier to understand. Let's look for the idle, and we can drag in the idle here to the middle. Now you can see she's just doing the idle and not doing anything else because there's only one pose in this graph. No matter what the value is, what the vertical or horizontal value is, it's gonna play that one animation. But I can then start putting new animations into this graph, like jog forward. That's the one we were using earlier, right? Oops, jogging forward, this guy. If I drag this guy in the front, you can see now I have two animations. Now if I hold down shift you can see that little green dot is following me, and when I go up, you can see we start to play the jogging, but when we go down, we're playing the idle. So basically it's like a transition from idle to running. Alright. Now we can actually change how this graph is laid out in those horizontal and vertical settings. For example, I want to maybe have more grade. I can change that from 4 to 8. And also the same thing here. So I have like more stuff to work with. I'm going to drop in one more animation here, which is the forward start. Drag that one in. Now you can see it's going from idle to start and then start running. So that's a much better blending. Okay. And we have the backward start right here. Let's drag that guy over here and backward over here. And you see what I'm doing here now, right? So let's say this is my moving. Okay. And I have the velocity going forward. And I have my velocity going backwards. You can see I can use a velocity value to control what animation to play if I have that value plugged in as the vertical axis of this graph. Okay, let me do the jog left right here. This always confuses me, so we have to test. So this is jog left and this is jog right, and I need to flip them, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, it's jog right start goes here. This is jog right, this is jog right start. I need jog left start to be positioned here. Alright, now we have a complete graph of, she goes like all directions. I don't think she has corners, so we don't have anything here. But I guess it's fine. We don't really, this is not the focus of this class. Okay. Anyway, so moving on from here, what I have to do is actually go set up the values here. The minimum is 0 and maximum is 100. But if you look at our player movements, you can see we're basically moving forward and backward. Those are positive and negative directions. And also the value should be bigger than 100. I think our max working speed is like 500 or so. Let's actually take a look. If you go to the walk, you can see our max walk speed is 600, right? And in that case, I'm going to say I actually need it to be bigger and also have negative values. So negative, let's try 300 and 300. Okay, the same thing goes to the other directions. So negative 300 and 300. Okay, so that those two values fit with the actual value I need to drive the animation. Alright, one more thing I want to do is the interpolation time. Okay, so we'll use the time to interpolate for smoother interpolation. What we can do is 0.1, just to have a little interpolation between animations. Alright, so that's the setup we need to do here. Oh, one more thing, the name for those axes, I need to know what those are for. So this is going to be the, let's see, the horizontal, which will be the speed of the right side. Call this right speed. And this is going to be the forward speed. Alright, so we set those two axes up, we give them maximum and minimum values, and we drag in different poses. Now to use it, we have to go to the animation blueprint, and here we're inside of this idle work run state. We can now drag in our new animation blend space, which is going to be this one. Wait, which one is it? That's actually not jog, so let's close that. AnimationBP BlendSpace, add a work run, drag that over here and connect that. Now you can see those are the two axes we defined. Okay, this right speed and forward speed are actually, if we go back to the animation, here you can see the right and forward speed. Okay, those are the two axes. So what's happening here is that if we just plug in two values like the forward speed here and the right speed here, and those two values will be passed in for the animation we created here, and it's going to read one of the position here and blend the animation based on the poses we have here already. Okay, so if those inputs are 0, 0, 0, then we got this. If the input for the forward is like 300, then we're doing the running forward. Okay, so it's all depending on what value we pass in here, and that's actually what we have captured already using the mesh space velocity. Remember that? So what we have to do is just drag the mesh space velocity here. We can split it into the axis we have here, and we can use the velocity x to control the right and velocity y to control the forward. Okay, and we can compile and save this. Go ahead and play the game. You can see now when I hit the plus button, the W button, we're moving forward, and when we go to the left, she's doing the left. Okay, so now we have all the animation we need for the different poses that we want to have. All right, that's cool. So we actually done everything almost all right. I don't see any issue here. That's not often happening to me all the time, because sometimes I have to swap those two because I don't quite get those things right, but I think I got it right this time. Anyway, so we're gonna stop the tutorial here now. In the next one, we're gonna keep on doing maybe some setup for maybe the attack, right? Attack animation. All right, so we're gonna do that in the next tutorial.